So we've discussed the mitzvah of Perur Vu and of Shevet for both men and women. And now it's necessary to discuss the whole concept of contraception, because this goes against the whole mitzvah of Perur Vu and Shevet. As we've learned, even if a couple have a boy and a girl, there is still a continuous mitzvah to continue to have children. And so the question is, what are the limitations of using contraception? Is it permissible in any case? And so on and so forth. So there's lots of segments to this. B'ezras Hashem will go through it part by part and try to understand. But a few necessary introductions. Firstly, the whole concept of contraception, which we're talking about, is only in a permissible manner of contraception. Of course, there are different kinds of contraception. And any contraception which we say which is permissible for a couple to use is one in which the natural act happens naturally, and the contraception takes place after the act of cohabitation. And what I mean by this is, as opposed to something which doesn't allow the zera to actually enter, something like that is, of course, prohibited in all circumstances, not because of the perur vu or the shevet, but because of the idea of hashgatat zera levatala, of waste of semen. And so all manners of contraception, which maybe we'll discuss next week, is only ones in which the contraception happens after the normal and natural act of cohabitation. So that's very important to make clear. Secondly, is that everyone agrees that if there is serious illness, i.e. physical or even mental illness, then contraception is permissible unlimitedly. And that means even more than 2, 3, 4 years, however how long it may be, that is permissible. And the reason being is because, of course, sakanat nefashot, the endangering of life, and that includes both physical illness and also mental illness, allows contraception to take place for however long it may take. So that's agreed by everyone. The question is, though, which hasn't really been discussed in the Rishonim in any substantive manner, and it's only in the last 100 years or so, is between pregnancies, between births, and a normal couple with everything fine physically and mentally, are they allowed to take a break and wait in between? And the reason why this wasn't really discussed in the past is because, from my understanding, it was natural for a woman not to fall pregnant after 2 years. In fact, the Gemara says that explicitly, that it's natural for a woman not to fall pregnant after 2 years because of breastfeeding. The reality is that's not really the case today. For a number of factors, of course, women aren't breastfeeding as much as they used to in the past, and various other reasons. And so the reality is that doesn't work. Even if a woman is breastfeeding, it's not so simple that she's protected and she won't fall pregnant again. And also in the past, children died. The rate of mortality for children was far lower than today. And so it doesn't really come up, this question, so much. But nowadays, of course, we don't have these issues. And a woman can fall pregnant year after year. What's the status of taking a break in between each pregnancy? And we have here really 3 different views in the contemporary poskim. The stringent view is that in all cases, no, it's not permissible unless, of course, there's physical or mental illness, and one just has to continue as usual, having as many children as possible to fulfill the mitzvah of shevet. That's certainly one view in the poskim. The other extreme in the poskim is that for 2 years following a birth, a woman in all circumstances is allowed to take contraception. The reason being, the Gemara says that it takes a woman 2 years to recover from birth. And so it's logical to say that in a situation nowadays where it's possible for a woman to fall pregnant within 2 years, that she's permissible to take contraception within 2 years after birth. That was another view. And then the middle view is for 1 year afterwards. And with all of these things, because this is a very contemporary discussion, it's very difficult to give a definitive ruling in any case on this, because it all depends on every couple and every circumstance, and they vary. There are so many different variations of circumstances in every situation. But those are the three views, really, that between pregnancies, one can take a break of, some say no break at all, some say a year, and some say even 2 years, up to 2 years. Beyond 2 years, there aren't really any poskim who allow without any substantive reason. And we'll discuss the reasons, B'ezrat Hashem. So that's a general overview, and next time we'll get into the details of all of this, B'ezrat Hashem.